Hello, my name is Veronica Maynard, and today I am doing my informative speech presentation on the day my daughter was born. It was on a Friday afternoon at 3:32 p.m. when, on June the 28th, 2002, after many hours of pain, here comes the most beautiful girl I'd ever laid my eyes on. It all started around noon on the 27th of June 2002, the most inconsistent labor pains. I had contacted the doctor's office and they informed me that I must wait until my contractions were consistently 5 minutes apart. So I did. I thought of ways to help the contraction pains come on a little stronger because I knew I was already a week behind on delivering this beautiful baby girl. So I went to work out that day to get my mind off of the contractions. So I went and just dwell on it. I went to work out for about an hour and a half to 2 hours that day, and then I went for a long walk about a mile after I worked out. This helped the contractions come on a little bit stronger. After that, I come back home and asked my mother if she would like to go to get a pedicure, and we did. We went to the pedicure salon and got a pedicure, and I felt the contractions coming on a little bit stronger at that point. And my feet looked beautiful and I felt great afterwards, but those contractions were making me think, that I was about ready to go to the hospital. But they were not consistent. They were between 5, 8, 12, 15 minutes. They were jumping around. So after that, I thought, well, I'll just go see a movie. I tried to do several activities throughout the day to kind of get my mind off the contractions, but to also help them come along a little bit stronger. I went to see Scooby-Doo that afternoon, and I thought, well, the movie Scooby-Doo, I watched it as I was growing up as a child, and it was an interest to me, so I went to see that movie, and at the movies I ate popcorn and soda, and the contractions came along a little bit harder and stronger while I was in the movies, but yet they were still inconsistent. They were not 5 minutes apart consistently at this point. After that, it was about 9 p.m. on that Thursday night that my friend Angela called and said, hey, would you like to go get a donut? The hot sign is on at Krispy Kreme, and that's one of the special things that we enjoy doing together. So I asked my mom and son if they would like to ride with me to go get a donut, and we did. And Krispy Kreme was located about 30 minutes from our house, so we drove up to Krispy Kreme and waited about 15 minutes in line because that night it was rather crowded in there. And we sat down and had our donut, and in between bites I was having contractions. They were coming on a little bit stronger, and at this point I told my mom and son we better go because my contractions were consistently about 8 minutes apart and sometimes 6 minutes apart. So we better go. I had a 30-minute drive on the way back home. On the way back home, I called my sister, who is a registered nurse and also my birthing coach, and I said, it's getting close and we need to get to the hospital, so I'm on my way back home and I'll meet you at the house. When we got to the house, I gathered up my belongings, and she was already there to meet me, and we got in a car and left to the hospital. We got to the hospital about 11:30 that night, and they admitted me immediately because my contractions at this point were 5 and 4 minutes apart. So they checked me for dilation, and I was only 1 centimeter dilated, but that was not enough. I had to be dilated 10 centimeters in order to deliver this baby. So the doctor arrived. I saw a group of OBGYN physicians, about 7 of them, so I was unsure about who was going to be my delivery doctor. So the first doctor that came in was a little Chinese petite lady. She was real cute and had a wonderful personality. And she checked me, and she said that my dilation was still only 1 centimeter, so she would encourage me to get up and walk. So me and my sister walked up and down the hallways of the hospital, back and forth for hours. Then the nurse came and she said, "Would you like to sit in a rocking chair?" But the only relief I had was walking and kind of bending over through my contractions and breathing with it. And at this point, they couldn't give me any medication because it wasn't helpful to me. They said it would wear off. So actually, I had to wait until about 6 o'clock a.m. that morning when the second doctor came in and checked me, and he said, "You're only 2 centimeters dilated." So the dilation was really, really slow. And finally, in between that time, in between 6 and 8, the anesthesiologist came in and gave me an injection, and then it wore off after about an hour. And another anesthesiologist came in and gave me another injection, and that held me over. And finally, I got to go to sleep. So after I went to sleep, in the meantime, I had phone calls from friends and family coming in. My dad dropped my mom off at the hospital so my mom could be with me. And then around 3:32 p.m., my daughter was born. She was a healthy baby girl. I named her Kaylee, and she weighed 6 pounds 6 ounces and was 18.5 inches long. They cleaned her all up and gave her to me, and she was the most beautiful little girl I've ever laid my eyes on. And this concludes my speech presentation. I appreciate it. Thank you.